Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Canadian Bowler Show. I am your host, Daryl Fitzgerald. As you can see, it's just me today. Um, with the three of us, sometimes work, life, family, friends, other commitments can get in the way, but there's always going to be one of us here to run the show and talk to you guys. We have a jam-packed show today, so hopefully you can tolerate me as the only person on here. And yeah, let's just get the show underway. So, housekeeping at the start of every show, please like, follow, subscribe. Uh, every follow, every like, every subscription to this channel means a great deal to us. We get more views, we get people looking in at our stuff. The more that you guys like it, and the more that you guys share it around, it means the world to us, and we really do appreciate every single one of you tuning in every day or every show and liking our content. Along with that, if you can't watch the whole show, if you want to catch it on audio when you're driving, when you're running, whatever it is that you do, we are on pretty much every audio podcast site available: Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Buzzsprout, everything. We put it out there for you guys to take in. We get a fair amount of downloads on that as well. So thank you to those that tune in and listen to that as well. With that, we have a lot to kind of unpack from the last little while. To kick things off, I wanted to talk about the UBC Ultimate Bowls Championship. That event went on last week. There was a ton of games, a ton of stuff to watch. We had 3 different events, 3 different winners. Those events went kind of back to back to back. It had been a number of postponements of the UBC because of the pandemic, and they finally got their stuff underway. If you guys didn't check it out, go in and see some of the streams that they did have on and see what they put out there. I think their product was really good. I think the format is really good. The allure of it, the atmosphere of it was great. You know, you got music, you got people cheering things on, the excitement of those playing. The just the look and the feel of it was great. But to kick things off with that, let's talk about what actually happened here. So we have in the first event, we had a number of games that went on. Here's your look at the post section. When you get down to the final, it was Geelong versus Dandenong. Dandenong were the hosts, and Dandenong consisted of Gary Kelly, Barry Lester, and Wayne Turley. They had won one of these events before. And you had Geelong, which was Ray Pierce, Nathan Bush, and Harley McDonald. And as you can see, the Geelong Clippers took that one down. They got their trophy, a bunch of happy guys there with their $40,000 for first place. Dandenong got, I believe, $20,000 for second place, so that's not too bad for coming in second. In event number 2, which happened immediately after event number 1, as you can see, another bunch of games and post-section play where Warilla and Geelong was back in it again. They had very consistent play, obviously. Warilla was Aaron Tees, Corey Wedlock, and Jeremy Henry, and Geelong again was Ray Pierce, Nathan Bush, and Harley McDonald. And the Warilla Gorillas took it down. And there they are with their $40,000 check. Pretty good haul. And event number 3, as you can see, Warilla again got right to the final and took it down against Exodus. And Warilla again, Aaron Tees, Corey Wedlock, Jeremy Henry, and Exodus, Aaron Sheriff, Matt Baus, and Sean Ingham. again, they got another 40,000, and because they're the ultimate team, they won 2 events. You had another $8,500. So really, those 3 guys took home over $90,000 from those events. And in the world of bowls, especially in Canada, that money is unheard of as far as being able to win as a team. Geelong being event number 1 winners and a runner-up, and I'm not sure if they might have got some other cash for other placements. They took $60,000 plus home, which is nothing to sneeze at. And the other award that usually gets announced is the Golden Toucher. So the person that rolls the most touchers in the event, and in event number 1 and number 3 was Scotty Solborn. He got 2 of the Golden Toucher awards, and then Nathan Wilson in number 2 got the Golden Toucher award. As far as the UBC goes, the event was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed watching everything play out. The stream was relatively good. The access to it was relatively good. They constantly had things going, so I could tune in, tune out. I wanted to check out, obviously, how our North American teams were doing, because I know a number of the people that were playing in that, and as a North American myself, I was invested in that. Fortunately, they had a little rough time. They ended up near the bottom of their brackets every single time, but I think it was an awesome learning experience. I'm hoping that the 5 guys from North America, there was one that was a North American, but I think he lives now down in Australia again. But I hope those guys come back, share their experiences with everybody, tell them how great it was, what they did, what they learned, and spread that knowledge around, because that's really what a lot of us are looking for. It's like, hey, we watched this on TV. What is it really like? What was the experience like, behind the scenes? Having to play all the time, the format, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully those guys come back and share. We'll try to get hopefully 1 or 2 of them on the show if we can. Share their experiences, talk about the UBC and what it was like going down to Australia and playing. Because we don't get a lot of that in North America or necessarily around the world. So to share that experience, I think would be great for everybody. When I was watching, I did have a lot of some trouble watching it. It looked like there was a little bit of lag in the internet feed, so every once in a while some of the games jumped, and I had a little trouble watching it because I'd see one guy deliver the bowl and then it would jump to the next guy, and I wouldn't get to see that bowl finish. And the audio was a little iffy. They had some feedback issues, almost like one of the auxiliary cables wasn't quite in. You get that little hum in the background, and the voice commentary was a little tinny, so I had to shut that down at times. But I think overall, the event was awesome, and obviously, criticisms are really, really small. It's stuff that I'm sure that they'll figure out. They've got quite a big group down there, and it's a big event, so those things will be sorted out. We can't talk much. We have a lot of technical difficulties here with audio and internet, and me flipping to the wrong scenes when we're talking about stuff. So kudos to those guys for putting it on. Huge event, a lot of money going around. So UBC, if you didn't check it out, go check out some of the back video, and keep an eye out for the next time it comes on. And if you know some of the guys that went over, make sure you talk to them and ask them exactly how it was. Moving on, wanted to talk about a new event that's going to be kicking off in April, and that's the brand new World Bowls Indoor Championship. So that's kind of, if you followed bowls and indoor bowls before, you had kind of the World Cup, which was played down in Warilla year after year after year. You had tons of winners. Obviously, Jeremy Henry, who was a big winner in the UBC, was a I can't know off the top of my head how many times, but multiple time winner down in Warilla. The likes of Joe Edwards, if you know Joe Edwards, she was probably, I think she's a 6-time winner, and won the World Cup a number of times. And we also had the World Indoor Championship, which was another thing. And there was a lot of these world indoor events, and it wasn't quite clear, you know, hey, if you won the WBT, do you consider yourself like world indoor champion? If you win the indoor championship, should you be calling yourself the world indoor champion? If you win the World Cup, should you consider yourself the indoor champion? So I think now that we've got these two combining, I'm going to throw up a list of competitors right now. As you can see, I think to be totally fair, this looks and feels more like a world championship. I've highlighted a few here that are quite interesting. Obviously, Canada. We've got Horane Brown and Bobby Jean Charlton. Two competitors from Canada. Horane's been there a number of times. This will be Bobby's first time, but it'll be interesting to see how they do. We also have the United States down at the bottom there, Bilbro and Nunes. So some good North American content in this championship. You've also got some pretty big swingers like Gary Kelly from Ireland. He's the defending World Cup champ. You've got Stuart Anderson, if you watch the WBT. He's also the IBC defending champion. Julie Forrest, awesome player from the WBT as well, if you watch that. We've got an interview coming up with Bowls Jamaica, Robert Simpson and Maureen Caesar going down there. And you've got just some interesting countries that, you might not think will do overly well on the indoor and playing against some of these top people that play all the time. But it's good to see them out there. They're going to get the experience. They're going to take it home and hopefully work on it and come back better and better each time. And that's really, for me, what I want to see. Like, it's great to see the top players play, but let's see the development of our game and the inclusion of these countries where you've got like Botswana that you don't see that much. Falkland Islands plays, but you don't see them much outside of Commonwealth Games. Isle of Man, Kenya, Namibia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Turkey. You see them in and out of stuff, but not, I guess, as a consistent player on the world stage. So it's really, really cool to see. It's something that I think is long overdue. Like, I want to see a world championship be a world championship. The World Bowls Tour seems like a UK event with some people thrown in. So it's kind of like the World Series here in for baseball and other world events. You consider yourself world champion, but you only play teams from within the United States and maybe one from Canada. That's just kind of a weird statement when you think it should be world champion should be the world, right? Yes, 64 top players from 29 countries, I think, was the final tally. So really, really interested to see that happen. It's going to be happening near the end of April, so keep your eye out for that. Hopefully they have some streaming of that, so you can check out some games and see some players that you've never seen before play, and cheer on your countries. So if you are from around the world, get on there and cheer your country. It's really quite interesting, I think. Moving on, talk about the World Bowls Tour UK Open. So they just had that run, and that was quite an interesting thing to watch. They had some streaming of it. Mark Dawes took it down. If you watch the WBT at all, you know Mark Dawes. He's won events before, so really top-notch bowler. He played Jamie Chesney in the final. So really, I mean, you can't argue with two of the better players on the indoor surface battling it out in the final. I think there was 5-6 days of competition, 130-ish, probably more competitors, and probably over 140 matches, 150 matches, whatever it was. A lot of play. Really, really crazy. Really interesting storylines coming out of this. I find when you deal with the WBT, you're dealing with the top 16. It's really critical for a lot of players to get into that top 16, so they're guaranteed a slot. They can play for money. It makes it a little easier for them. I won't say easier, but they get a little more of a guarantee going in, rather than people battling to get into the top 16. So this actually was quite good for a number of players. They actually worked their way into the top 16, but it was also costly for a couple players where they got bounced pretty hard out of the top 16. Mark Dawes is up to 5th place after that win. I think on my notes, Darren Burnett, he's a top indoor player. He's a top player in Scotland. He was out of the top 16 for a little bit, and he was trying to battle himself back in. He's now at 15th, so he worked his way in. Wayne Wilgress, who I really like, and I'm big on. He finally got into the 14th spot, and a stalwart of the top 16, someone who's been in there for I want to say a couple decades. Mark Royal. He lost pretty early on in the event and got bounced out of the top 16, which is unfortunate. He's been there, I want to say like 15 to 20 years. He's been there forever. Since I've been a big watcher of it. So really, really tough to see some of those players get taken out. But good to the players that actually got to play in, and really good to World Bowls Tour for expanding their offerings again. We've been saying it on the show. We want to see these events grow. We want to see people get involved, more opportunities for people to play. Having the kind of one event at Potters where you can play in and qualify can be tough for anybody outside of the UK and outside of the top 16. When you're a country trying to play into it and trying to crack into that main event to actually get some money to pay for your flights and all the other costs that you have, it can be quite tough, and it can be quite a hard sell. We here in Canada have a PBA, and we play to qualify to go over to Potters, but we get a little growth and then not so much, and then a little growth and not so much. It's not a huge event anymore. We used to have an East and a West. We only have an East now, which is housed in Ontario. And unfortunately, we don't get a huge uptake in Canada to get over there, where I think that it has the potential to be massive. We just need to find a way to make it more marketable to countries outside of the UK, I think. Kind of like the UBC and the BPL, where I think the marketing and the atmosphere and everything is really enticing to people to go and watch, to go and check out the streams, and probably enticing to say, hey, you know what? I would love to go down and catch one of those. I think the WBT has an issue on the opposite side, where I've said this criticism before, and I tune into WBT all the time. I love it. I watch it religiously almost, but the marketing of it is an issue. If I'm telling my friends, I'm a lawn bowler, I want you to check out some lawn bowls and come down and then meet me at the club and play some. If I'm going to tell them something to watch to see how exciting bowls is and how fun it is, I'm going to lean them towards UBC and BPL. I wouldn't send them to the WBT to kick things off, unfortunately. The marketing aspect of it is tough. It's a little quiet. It's a little stodgy, I guess would be a word for it. The music isn't there. It's, not colorful, not lively. When you look at Potters and you look at the UK Open, the crowd that's in there is of the older demographic, I'll say. So it's really tough. I love the WBT, and I want to see it grow, and I want to see it do more than it already has. And it's done some great stuff for bowls. It's done some great stuff for streaming. And I think there's just some look at how they're doing things, how they're going to market it, how they want to grow it, and maybe there's some changes that are potentially out there to really get them, getting the viewership, getting the people involved, and getting that money on their side. It's such a great event, and I want to just see it do really, really, really well. If you're out there I mean, I'm talking to myself. I'm putting this out here, but if you're out there and you have any comments or questions about UBC, the WBT, or the World Indoor Bowls Championship that's coming up, pop it in the chat. Always here to answer your questions and talk to you guys about what's going on. We still have that British Isles controversy going on, so if you're on Facebook or I think the Bulls International magazine is actually putting out a lot of stuff there where, I mean, people are constantly putting out surveys. Countries are coming out with statements on what's being said on social media, on Facebook, in chat groups. Tons of stuff. We had the CEO of Scotland come out and put out a statement. We've had, I think, the Bulls Federation in Ireland come up with some surveys and some stuff about it. Same with Wales. Like, it's quite a thing. We're going to be monitoring it and keeping it, and we'll hopefully have a guest or two on to give their take on it and what's going on, and have a discussion about it. That's kind of something that we want to do, because we know we do have a few UK followers out there, and that seems to be a big thing out there right now as well. Nothing that was really exciting is Dom Pixley, who tunes into the show every once in a while. I've seen his name in the chat, and I know he's watched on and off for quite a while. He approached us to do an article for Inside Bulls magazine. The World Bulls publication that you might see gets released monthly. Really, really cool thing for us. We don't get a lot of PR. We don't have money to put into marketing and to put ads out. So we do share on social media, but that's a tough go. We do try to get people to share our content out there with the world. Tell your friends, tell your parents, tell your kids, check it out, go and like and follow and subscribe. But this was a really, really great opportunity for us to get our name out there. And it was really, really cool. We got a cool spread in the latest edition of Inside Bulls, putting it out there in the Canadian Bowler Show. I want to tell you guys, go and read it. You'll hear about our starts, what we do, how we do it, what our focus is as far as the show goes, and hopefully we have a lot more exciting stuff to come down the pipe to feed to you guys. Original content, coaching stuff, which we did last year and took off really well. Some more videos on Bulls manufacturers and equipment. Lots of cool stuff I think that we can do. And outside it's technically spring, but we just had a little dusting of snow in the morning, so we're still getting the effects of winter here. So hopefully sometime soon we'll be able to get back on the greens and we'll be able to start making some more content for you guys. That'll be really cool. We've got a lot of stuff on our list to do, and we want to do that. So go check out that article from Inside Bulls magazine. Thanks to Dom for approaching us and doing the interview. It was really, really appreciated. It was a great opportunity for us, and hopefully that kind of opens more eyes to our show. We are called the Canadian Bowler, but our focus is the world and what's going on in the world of bowls. It just happens that the three of us are Canadian, so you get that perspective as well. Without any further ado, we did sit down with the president and director of the Jamaican Lawn Bowls Association. Some of you might not know that Jamaica does play lawn bowls. If you tuned into the 2018 Commonwealth Games, you would have seen two players representing Jamaica in the last event, and hopefully they have more representation. When I showed you the names for the indoor championship that's coming up, there are two players from Jamaica going in there, and we got to sit down with the president director of the Jamaican Lawn Bowls Association, Horane Brown. So without further ado, let's get to that video.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Canadian Bowler Show. It's Mike Patulli here, joined by Daryl Fitzgerald. And today we have a special guest from Jamaica's Lawn Bowling Association, Horane Brown. Thanks for joining us, Horane.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. We spoke via email. I was very pumped to do this. We're doing a lot of work in Jamaica to try to move the sport forward, and any type of publicity we can get, we definitely appreciate it in regards to bowls. It's not a popular sport generally, but I definitely have to give thumbs up for the work that you guys have been doing.
Yeah, well, thanks very much for joining us. We do appreciate having you here on the show. One of the things we like to do when we start out a show is just kind of give you the floor, let you explain who you are, what your involvement is with lawn bowls. So I'll give you the floor here.
I no problem. My name is Horane Brown. I'm the president of Jamaica Lawn Bowling Association. Officially, we're formed in 2018. After that, we did quite a lot of work to get a development membership with World Bowls. And we also were ratified by our local Olympic association. So we're heavily working with them in promotion of the sport. And of course, through that, we went to the Commonwealth Games in Australia a few years ago. And we have a team preparing now for Birmingham. So we're definitely looking forward to that. In terms of a background on me, I would say I'm a sports entrepreneur in a lot of ways. I have a football business where I'm a football agent where I represent players all across the world. We're in the process of trying to get some players into the Canadian Premier League, USL, MLS, Europe also in terms of England, Belgium, Spain, etc. So I have quite a long range in terms of markets, and we continue to work on that. I've also at some point been involved in radio broadcasting, so I'm not far from in regards to media. And I played a lot of sports when I was younger, and I've covered every single sport there. So I'm a full sports person in every single way.
That's quite impressive. So when the Jamaican Lawn Bowling Association was founded in 2017, just before the games were being held in the Gold Coast. What was that process like? Was it really difficult to get the association made and move stuff forward?
It was. Well, so let me give you some backstory in terms of how I got involved in the first place. Now, as I said, I used to broadcast a radio show locally in Jamaica called In the Stands, and before that, I started Jamaica's first online portal in terms of covering sports called jsports.net. It's still up now, but we just basically do a deal that we have with a mobile company for persons to get updates on schoolboy football, which is big here, which is soccer, boys and girls champs, which is definitely growing, on our local football league, which is the Premier League. So from then, I think I formed the site probably like 0807, and then I formed a company called J Sports Multimedia along that, to basically do the business surrounding that. So we had a presence online, etc., in terms of covering sports in Jamaica. So I got a tweet at some point in regards to a lawn bowler in the UK that was trying to do some things in regards to playing for Jamaica, and we had discussions surrounding that. Then through that, I went into radio, and we would of course have him on and discuss certain things in regards to how to build a sport and how to move it forward. So the conversation started from then in terms of doing interviews and being a part of it in terms of trying to build it, so persons can know more about sport. Now, was it hard to officially form the association? Well, in terms of setting up the company, it wasn't that hard to a certain extent. I mean, now we went through the process of going to the company's office, etc., and forming it. Now, it was always a huge thing in regards to getting everybody involved to have an official setup and then speaking to the authorities, which was kind of hard. So when we started the conversation, I think for around 2017 or probably before that. But when it was time to get into the last Commonwealth Games, the conversation was being had before, and it was with the previous Olympic president, I think it was Mike Fennell at the time, and he was long-standing. And because it was Olympic, Commonwealth sport, there was some interest. No, when there was an election and a new president came in, which was Christopher Samudo, and we had a meeting with him. He supported us, and then from that gave us a traction to move forward in regards to setting up everything and trying to move forward as an official sport. The conversations continued to happen with the World Boroughs, and they supported us from the standpoint that, everybody loves Jamaica in terms of the vibes and the brand, and they wanted us to be a part of that. And overall, long term, we will of course help them to get into the Olympics, because Longbows wants to probably be a part of the Olympic for 2026 if it does happen in Australia, I think Brisbane. So with that, of course, you have to have votes, etc., on that type of thing. So it's a way to, of course, to get Jamaica involved, Jamaica supportive, of that in 2026 if that actually happens. And we've been working ever since based off that to continue to grow the sport.
Yeah, like the first times that I'd heard about the Jamaican Lawn Bowling Association was with Andrew Newell and his Reggae Rollers, Facebook page that he ended up creating, and he ended up being one of your athletes that went to the Commonwealth Games there in Gold Coast along with Mervyn Edwards. And it was actually quite the sight when he ended up winning that game against Robert Paxton in the singles. Like, it's quite a good memory, and there's good, it was a documentary on YouTube that you can watch about the two of them when they went. So I found that pretty inspiring. Is it something that you'd sort of alluded to it earlier, you guys are planning on sending a contingent to Birmingham this summer? Is that correct?
Yes, we are. In terms of what happened in the Gold Coast, I think that was significant to grow the sport. Obviously, we went there, we got a victory against a top bowls player, which a lot of people probably didn't think would have happened. So based off that, it gave us some traction to say, okay, fine, we do have bowlers of quality, and if given the chance, we can definitely do some things. So I was happy when they did it, and in terms of Merv and Andrew, in terms of how they performed in the Gold Coast, because it was significant for us. I sent out the press releases. I got traction on it. They were interviewed by the BBC. So it was definitely a good thing. Obviously, we definitely have long-term plans because although we got that victory, there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of developing a sport in a country that we want more people to play. And so from that perspective, we're trying to do that. And we're sending a team to the World Indoors in Bristol in April. And then after that, we'll be sending a team also to the Commonwealth Games for Birmingham. It probably won't be the names that participated at the Gold Coast, but we're still confident that we can still build a sport and be competitive. Yes.
That's awesome. I was actually there to watch them compete for the first time. It was amazing to see Jamaica at the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games competing in bowls where nobody had ever seen them before. It was just it's always nice to see new countries enter, and obviously to see the Jamaican colors. They're vibrant, and everybody was really, really happy to see them as part of it. For in Jamaica, you've got one facility that's in Westmoreland, I believe, and is there ideas to expand outside of that and have a few more facilities around the island?
Yeah, obviously we do have long-term plans. One is to start the schools league to get more persons here playing and introduce it to them, because a lot of our general players that come through other sports, whether it's football, cricket, etc., comes through a school system. So we want to see exactly what we can do there. Now, we do have one facility in the island, and we have a contingent of persons who play there on a regular basis, which is definitely good for us that we have Jamaicans, playing the sport on a consistent basis. We do have long-term plans to put a facility in Kingston, and we have had events before where we have brought people into Kingston. We're partnered with, for example, the Hockey Federation, and we've used their turf facility in Kingston, and possibly there are other things, there are other turf facilities in Kingston that we could possibly use for other events. So, but obviously we want our own facility. We're trying to work that out the best way we can with World Bowls, the government, and also the Olympic Association to see exactly what type of funding we can get for that. But yes, that's definitely a long-term goal of ours. Yes.
Yeah, you talk about the support from World Bowls there, like getting the association off the ground there. How much support, or what has the support been like from World Bowls to get Lawn Bowls Jamaica created?
Well, yeah, as I said, they've been very open to us. Like they've helped us in every single way. I think they recognize the value that Jamaica brings, and they have supported us in every single way. We submit I think every 3 months we submit a report, progress report to them. They send their minutes specifically in terms of what's going on in development of the sport. We're trying to get involved from a marketing perspective based on what they've sent to push the sport here. So I think they're all for us. Why wouldn't you want to expand the sport, into more countries? So, hopefully it continues to grow.
Considering that as far as South America goes and the Caribbean, we've got you guys who are an emerging group, and I think we have a couple groups in Brazil and Argentina that are growing as well. Do you see this as once Jamaica kind of starts expanding, that possibly more Caribbean nations will actually want to join in on the Lawn Bowls craze down there?
Yeah, I think I see that happening. I think St. Lucia has joined in already.
Oh, wow.
I think they came in after us. I definitely see that growing. In regards to the guy that's the president for Lawn Bowls Canada, I speak with him a lot, and he has some ideas surrounding the Americas in regards to putting everybody together. And he has a tournament being planned. It's still in the works. But it will, of course, include a lot of Caribbean and Central American countries who actually play the sport. So yes, long term, that's a plan I'm seeing coming from World Bowls through the president, because he's the president for the Americas, and through that they're trying to build it out here. I think there was some contact with Trinidad at some point in terms of them playing. Oh, wow. I'm not sure where it is, but I think overall, even coming from our Olympic Association, what they want us to do is, of course, to help to build out the Caribbean in terms of playing the sport. Yes.
That's good to hear. Like, I think one of the areas of the world that doesn't have quite enough countries for lawn bowling right now would be sort of the Caribbean and South America. So it's good to see that the development's starting to take place there, because getting the more countries makes Olympic recognition definitely easier for lawn bowls. Earlier in our conversation, you touched on the team that's going to the 2022 World Indoor Bowls Championship. So it looks like Robert Simpson and Marine Cesar are competing in the singles and then mixed pairs. So that team, pretty exciting to be going to there. So any sort of information you can give us on preparations or anything they're doing for that event?
Yeah, so as I said, like this, everything came out of Jamaica playing bowls from the expats that were playing in England. And through that, we've continued the relationship with all the players there who have the ability to represent Jamaica, in terms of passports, etc., that type of thing. Robert is somebody that has been playing on the circuit indoors for some time, and he's been doing pretty good at his club. So we thought it was good to give him the opportunity to go forward and represent the country. Maureen has done well. She has played in a lot of unsanctioned events, because before we got sanctioned, they were playing a different event versus Holland, Cyprus, etc. So she has played in quite a those events, with those other guys in regards to bowls. So she's quite versed. The thing is, we want to expose people on the female side, and she has been supportive of our association, and she's also a pretty good bowler. So I think it's a good combination in terms of Robert and her going, and I'm hopeful that they can be competitive at the World Indoor Championships in Bristol.
Looking outside of the World Indoor Championships, are there other events that you see trying to send some Jamaican representatives to that might help, like World Bowls, Championships, or anything outside of that?
Yeah. So even after Merv and Angie competed in the Gold Coast, after that we sent Merv to the singles championship. I think that was also in Australia. So whatever events that are on the calendar in terms of World Bowls, we'll always look to place our bowlers there to be competitive and to play in those events. It just so happens that in regards to for Bristol, we have different people that we're given a chance to represent the country, and I'm sure at some point for the other events, comes their own, there'll be more of a whole scale team of everybody coming and playing and being a part of that. So yes.
That's pretty exciting to kind of look forward to all those different events and seeing Jamaica send teams or players to different events coming ahead here. It's always good to see different countries. The information I've been finding online there looks like you guys recently paired with Kukri for creating sort of a special, clothing for when you guys are going to be playing bowls. It looks like you might be wearing, if I'm not mistaken, looks like you might be wearing the jacket right now.
I am. This is the logo. This is one of the jackets. Well, as I said, this came out of just some due diligence in terms of speaking to them, and they were very open in regards to partnering with Jamaica. They were doing some business with Canada, and through my conversation with the guy that's head of lawn bowl for Canada, I made contact with them and had a conversation. They're like, okay, fine, we'll do it, and we move forward on it. They did the designs, they sent it back, I approved it, and we decided to go on it. So they'll be using these in Bristol. Officially, we'll have to go with the regular Puma stuff for the Commonwealth Games based on the fact that from the Olympic association standpoint. But going forward, we're looking forward to this to be a staple in terms of World Bowl events that we'll of course use these, and they're available for sale. And Coco did a pretty good job in capturing the spirit of Jamaica and designs, and yeah, I definitely like them, and we want to get more people wearing them. Even if you're not a bowls player, you can definitely support us and honestly, the main reason why I did this kit deal was the bottom line is that we're an organization, we're trying to get funds in to do a lot of things locally, and this is the option in terms of selling gear that can go back into the association so we can continue with development.
That's awesome to hear, and they do look good. I've looked at the website, had to take a sneak peek when we saw it, and I'm sure Mike did as well. So going forward, you've got the facility going, you're starting to go to events, you've got the branding and the apparel going. What kind of initiatives are you looking to do now to not only grow the sport, but really start to develop your athletes to compete at those high levels?
Yeah, I think even in preparing for the World Indoors and Commonwealth Games, what we've done is that we've been through the help of World Bowls, because as they've been instrumental. So we've been working with the high level coach over from Zealand to actually help our current players.
Wow, nice.
So Robert has been working with this coach probably 6 or 7 months now in preparation, and Maureen has joined probably 3 or 4 months now in terms of technical things that would improve their game. So we're definitely working on stuff like that to make sure that, because we want our players to be better tactically and technically. Of course, we did get a win in the Gold Coast versus our top player, but if we develop, we want that to be as consistent as possible, based on the pro name that we have as Jamaica in terms of our athletic prowess. So that's the plan. It's a collaborative deal right now. Hopefully at some point, we'll be able to get more coaches in, and probably have seminars in the country, to help everybody that would want to play the sport.
No, it's nice to hear you guys have coaching involved, because Daryl and me both are pretty, or well, established coaches here in Canada. So we both really like the coaching proponent and trying to get coaches involved, because it's an important part of growing players. I guess we kind of touched on this earlier, but I guess for the future growth of Jamaica, for bowls in Jamaica, where do you see lawn bowls in Jamaica in 10 years?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. As I've told people, like, I'm responsible for the organization. Of course, I want more people playing. I know this sport is not a popular sport globally. So as I've told a lot of people, I'm not trying to make it a popular sport in Jamaica. My plan is to have a core group of people playing that can be as competitive as possible, so we can enter events, whether it's World Bowl events or at the Common Games. But long term, this is how I see it. We have one facility on the island. I think we definitely need more. I'm looking at a collaborative thing with the Jamaica Tourist Board, and also the different tourist brands or hotels that we have in Jamaica to build that out. The main reason is that we're small, and I think if we can collaborate with the tourist board or even Sandals, one of those big entities to push the concept of persons coming into Jamaica to play balls, I think long term that can be great with our own facility. And I've had persons that have reached out to me that recently that came to the island, and played, and he came to our facility. So I know if we market and push and we go harder, next 10 years, it can be an influx of persons who from all over the world to add to the tourism product, where it's bowls and tourism for our association, for persons to come and play, and it will be good for everybody. Persons want to come to Jamaica, persons in the world want to play bowls, with a facility that gears towards that gives them that type of environment. I think that's where I would want to be in 10 years, and see more people coming into the island to play and participate in the sport.
That's awesome. I'd actually never thought of that. Obviously, tourism is a big thing in Jamaica. I know a lot of people that have gone and plan to go as soon as possible back to Jamaica because they love it so much. Seeing people come in and having lawn bowls facilities available just to try out some activity that they can do a couple times while they're there, that's fantastic. That's really interesting.
So that's how I see it in terms of 10 years, in terms of where I would like it to be. So, and we'll continue to work on that in regards to speaking to those bodies to make sure it can move forward.
Fantastic. Mike, do you have anything else you wanted to ask?
No, I just look forward to having some hotels with lawn bowls in it, so that I can easily bring the wife and family down there for some lawn bowls and vacations in Jamaica.
Yeah, and like as I said, we have a facility right now. It's at a hotel, small hotel. So if persons want to come and bowl, they can definitely contact the association if they're coming to Jamaica, and we give them that experience, because it's an option right now. But so yes.
Well, Horane, thank you so much for coming on. We were really pumped to have you on the show to just open people's eyes to bowls in Jamaica, because I'm sure there's a lot that have no idea that there's a bowling facility there. It is an association. There's people that are competing out of the country. So this gives at least us an opportunity to showcase that to our viewers, and hopefully
Yes.
open a few more eyes to the fact that in the Caribbean, in South America, and Central America, there's the potential for some bulls growth there. So this is fantastic.
All right. I want to thank you for having me. It's a pleasure speaking to you. Obviously, we need platform like these to actually grow the sport here in the Caribbean. And thanks again, man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
Well, there you have it. The Jamaican Lawn Bowling Association, Horane Brown. Really interesting to talk to him. I think his perspective on bulls growth down there is interesting. The last end of that interview was, I guess, kind of caught my attention when talking about tourism. How neat would it be to be able to go down and actually book a Jamaican holiday and be able to play bowls down there on a nice facility, maybe on the resort as part of your package. You know, you do scuba diving and boat tours and all the other activities that they have there, but bowls could be on that list as a potential thing to do. And you know, it might not bring members to the Jamaican Association. It might not increase their growth, but at least it gets them in there and hopefully brings some dollars in. That's really interesting. Hopefully you guys found that interesting. The idea behind our show here, the Canadian Bowler, is not just to focus on Canadian bowls, not just to focus on BPL and UBC and WBT and some of those big ones. We do want to bring the news to you guys, let you know what's going on, share our opinions on what's going on as far as big events and big movements in countries, but also to try to open everybody's eyes and perspective that, you know, there's a bowls community that's much bigger than just the UK, Australia, and possibly North America, if you want to lump it in there. There's a lot of countries out there that have some bowling out there that are trying to grow. They're really small. You know, Jamaica, Argentina, and Brazil have some bowls in there, but they're really small, and not a lot of people know that there's stuff going on down there. So if we can open people's eyes to that, if we can bring some people on to talk about it, like Horane, talk about Jamaica and their interesting path to becoming an association, to competing in the Commonwealth Games, and hopefully to growth in the future. That's exactly what this platform is for. We want to be a pathway to get people to know bowls at a bigger concept than just their region and their country and their continent necessarily. So the more people we can have on, the better. We're trying to line up interviews with other countries leading up to the Commonwealth Games. We've had sort of our progression to really talk about bowls and training and people going to the Commonwealth Games. So we've had the Australian athletes come on and the coaches come on and talk about it. We've had some Bowls England players. We've had obviously Jamaica. Hopefully we can have a lot more of that stuff out there for you guys to take in as well. If you haven't seen a lot of the interviews, we do have a playlist with all the interviews we've done since the beginning of the show, since the very first interview with Ryan Bester, right up to hopefully soon we'll have this Jamaican interview on there as our last one, and there's a ton of them on there. Players to check out, really interesting people. Get to know them more than just what you see playing in your favorite events. Get to know them as a person. Find out what they do on and off the green. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and hopefully we can keep bringing that kind of stuff to you. I think we've talked about most of the stuff that we wanted to touch on. Obviously, just a recap, we did a recap of the UBC. We talked about World Bowls International Indoor Championship, the new one that's coming out at the end of April. Make sure you check that out. There's a ton of athletes from all over the world competing. Try to support it. I think it's a really valuable world championship. I think it's something that we've desperately needed outside of some of the main things. Sorry, main things like Commonwealth Games and World Bowls. We just need more events where more countries can compete. Some of the growing countries can go and see what it's like to compete against some of the bigger countries that are well established. Nothing but good things can come from that. We talked about the WBT UK Open, Mark Dawes winning that, and some of that stuff. So really, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully your Sunday was great. We'll hopefully be back in 2 weeks' time. The sun hopefully will be shining a little bit more in Canada. Greens will be opening up in May, we hope. And we'll be working hard behind the scenes to come up with some more original content for you guys, to bring it out so that everybody can hopefully get more out of the show. Our coaching stuff, our equipment videos, and some more secret stuff that we've got working on. So keep your eye out for that. And as always, don't forget to follow, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Every like, it's free. It's so easy. Just click the thumb. It means a ton to us. Every like just helps expose the channel more and more and more out there. Subscribe, hit that bell if you want to know when we go live, when we have new videos out. It's that notification bell. It'll let you know what's going on. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for joining me on a Sunday as a solo host. It's interesting talking to myself. But thank you again. And with that, may all your bowls be touchers.